Story 1. I got banned from Am I the Asshole because I said someone in a story, not the original poster, was acting like an entitled man-child. When I questioned my ban, a moderator from Am I the Asshole messaged me directly and repeatedly behaved like an entitled man-child. Story 2. Sleeping during my lunch break in an empty part of my office. A colleague reported me. I did my job, but she disliked me and reported it to management. Suspended for sleeping in an unauthorized area. Story 3. In high school, they banned me from the library because I forgot to sign out of the cafeteria when I went to the library to print something during my lunch break. The vice principal was yelling at me that he was tired of us pulling these stunts. It was my only infraction. I had never been warned that forgetting to sign out of the cafeteria was a big deal. I loved the library. I was in tears. They eventually lifted the ban, but I had to write a letter apologizing, which was obviously unfair. Story 4. I was banned from a hotel because I asked the manager what happened to my belongings. The door was locked with a Do Not Disturb sign, and the room was paid for several days. He responded with an attitude, even though I thought it was a mistake and was being polite. Story 5-1. I said, I hope you step on Legos. I complimented someone playing basketball with only one arm. I mentioned the word kill, so it was warranted. I wrote an appeal regarding the context, and it was surprisingly lifted. All on Reddit, by the way. Story 6. Received a 24-hour ban from Facebook after asking someone, who lit the fuse on your tampon? Received a 3-day ban for spreading harmful misinformation when posting a meme where a guy declared that the COVID-19 vaccine would melt your brains. I posted it to my friend Brian's page. There was no way to appeal either ban. Story 7. I got banned from Raised by Narcissists because I asked the original poster for context when they posted screenshots of their conversation with their dad. Apparently, it is against the rules to ask for clarifying information, and you are just supposed to blindly support the original poster. It was then that I realized how narcissistic and completely unself-aware the people of that subreddit were. Narcissists raise narcissists. Story 8. Me. English football still has a problem with racist and violent fans. Football moderator. That is xenophobic and discriminatory. Permanent ban, no warning, no appeal. English fans 2 days later after the Euro 2021 final. Racial abuse and death threats targeting the non-white players who missed the penalties in the shootout. But indeed, my take was racist. Story 9. My little brother just came into my room complaining about his Reddit account being suspended. Apparently, there was a post about a landlord refusing to fix a smoke detector that was beeping on a high ceiling and out of reach, and my brother suggested destroying the smoke detector. Then the account was suspended for a week. Oh, those poor smoke detectors. We cannot be threatening them with violence. That would be morally wrong. I told him to go play a video game or something, but he is still muttering in the next room. Story 10. I figured out the rating system for professional table soccer, which had previously been kept a secret, and posted detailed reports on social media to show the tournament table soccer world how non-transparent and dishonest things were. That resulted in me being briefly banned from tournaments. Story 11. I called a rapist and sexual predator it instead of he, and was banned from 90 Day Fiancé. I still stand by what I said. Story 12. I got suspended from school at the end of the 8th grade year. While on lunch break at a local diner in my town, some girls from the school came in and started causing trouble. I was standing at the counter paying for my food and turned to see what the commotion was. One of the girls slapped me a couple of times and knocked my food to the floor. The woman who owned the diner was a friend of my parents and tried to intervene verbally but was too afraid to come out from behind the counter. Several adults having lunch also witnessed the incident but did not step up to help. Instead of going back to school after lunch, I walked home. My mom called the school to find out what was going on. She was informed by the principal that I was being suspended for the final 2 days of school for my own safety, even though I had done nothing wrong. I had several credible adult witnesses who stated this was an unprovoked attack. Later at 3:30, Dad came home from work. He listened to the story and said there was no problem. He told me to be ready for school tomorrow as usual, and he would drive me. The next morning, Instead of going to work on time, my dad took me to school, walked into the principal's office with me, and announced I was ready for class. When the principal told him that I would not be attending school because of the suspension, my dad stopped him mid-sentence. He said in no uncertain terms, "Since when do you suspend students for being attacked by another group of students in a public place in front of witnesses? My daughter's place will be in her chair in her classes, and she will be in the same condition when she gets home this afternoon as when I leave her here today. This will be repeated tomorrow. Do not make me come back and tell you how to do your job again, or I will show you." Nobody bothered me the last 2 days of class. I was never happier to see summer vacation start in my life. Story 13. In high school, I received a 3-day suspension for supposedly rolling my eyes at the assistant principal. Story 14. The anti-work subreddit gave me a 3-day ban for telling them that their claim that independent artists are inherently right-wing capitalists was foolish at best. It was the most absurd sophistry and self-aggrandizing mental gymnastics I have ever heard. Arguably, independent artists are at the lowest rung on the career ladder, but because they have seized their own means of production, the theoretical ideal and central point of communist ideology, they are suddenly seen as oppressive kings of industry. This reflects a crabs-in-a-bucket mentality, a circular firing squad that thinks they have solved the meaning of life, the universe, and why their mother never hugged them. I unsubscribed and went on my way. Muppets. Story 15. I was banned from the kitten subreddit because of my abnormally large kitten. They said he did not belong there. I challenged this, saying he was not even 1 year old yet. Story 16. I was shadow banned from the relationships subreddit, and the situation was beyond my understanding and went unnoticed. I do not know if I still have a black mark on my account, but I will not be posting there anymore. This happened about 5 years ago, so I hope the situation has improved, but I am not going to check. I made a very popular post that had hundreds of messages and a lot of support, but it was removed. When I asked why, they said I did not ask a question, which was against the rules as it did not stimulate discussion. I argued that there were hundreds of comments by the time it was removed, so that reason was invalid. They insisted I was wrong and would not reverse the removal. I was also banned from making a follow-up post, which many people requested. Later, I noticed a few other posts specifically about gay relationships were also removed suddenly. None of the 200-plus most popular posts mentioned gay relationships. I pointed out their hypocrisy and possible homophobia, noting that the top posts of all time in recent months did not ask questions. This led them to delete the most popular post of all time on the relationship subreddit instead of admitting they removed my post in error. After that, I stopped trying as they were obviously protecting a homophobic moderator or were the only one online. Story 17. When I was 14, my friends and I would go into Kmart to window shop or buy candy and video games. Eventually, they started stealing at this age. I didn't even curse, let alone break the law, but I still hung out with them when they did this, so I guess I was not completely innocent. They got caught, and I was so shy at that age that when I was questioned in private and asked if I had ever stolen in the past, because they didn't find any merchandise on me, I said yes because I was afraid to say no. That is how I got banned from Kmart, even though I never actually did anything to warrant it. Story 18. In high school, we had a vice principal who everyone found annoying and who would blow up and start raging at us teens for the slightest reason. One piece of gossip going around the school about him was that he was so unhinged that if you happened to whisper the advertising catchphrase from the commercial of a certain pet food near him, he would flip out. So one day, during a break between classes when I was stoned and especially bored, I spotted him walking my way in the crowd. I started up in a sing-song voice, "Kibbles and bits, kibbles and bits. I've got to get me some kibbles and bits." As he passed, I started walking away, laughing with my girlfriends, thinking I had gotten away with it, when he grabbed me by the hair, spun me around, and started screaming in my face while half dragging me down the hall. To this day, I have no idea what he was screaming about or why that phrase bothered him so much. The entire situation was so ridiculous that all I could do was howl with laughter while he hauled me down to the principal's office. I was given a 2-week suspension and had to write a letter apologizing to him before I was allowed back for daring to say the words of a pet food commercial near him. Story 19. I joined a subreddit that another subreddit disapproved of. I never posted or commented on the subreddit. I joined it so it would show up on my feed. Banned from commenting on another subreddit. Reddit will be Reddit. Story 20. I was banned from a dating advice subreddit for criticizing people who supported a woman having an affair on her husband while he was working extra hours to save for a house. Story 21. Several years ago, I was banned from a gun rights group on Facebook because someone posted about Dallas police officers being assassinated after several highly publicized police shootings of black men. I replied by asking, "What did you think armed resistance to tyranny would look like?" Story 22. I was suspended from Roast Me for posting an insulting or derogatory comment after the original poster said she wanted 2 words to define her, and I said disappointed father. Story 23. There was an article recently about Alaska discovering a new power source, and I made a joke similar to the running gag about what the United States supposedly does whenever a country discovers oil. I received a 3-day ban for promoting violence against my own country. They also did not review my appeal until after the ban was lifted. Story 24. Did Secret Santa in a Facebook group and sent my gift by regular post. I was removed from the group on Christmas Eve for not sending a gift. The gift arrived the day after Christmas, but apparently if you are removed from the group, the rules consider you banned. Story 25. My entire class received in-school suspension once because a fight broke out on the playground when I was in elementary school. What did we do? We all just stood there and watched like kids do. Story 26. Got permanently banned on subreddit Atheist for defending a rapist by saying the High Court acquitted George Pell. The High Court did, in fact, acquit George Pell. Story 27. I called Kimberly Kardashian a crack addict, providing evidence, character references, and numbered sources, but still received a suspension. Story 28. Arguing on subreddits. Calling someone names on here. Still not sure why white people Twitter has banned me, but that is a terrible subreddit anyway. I will just ignore it the next time it appears in my feed. Story 29. I received a 2-week suspension from high school because I glued the teacher to his chair with super glue. Those cameras caught everything. Story 30. I was banned from all my favorite subreddits because one of my friends thought it would be funny to post spam everywhere. He figured out that my account was still logged in when I let him borrow my computer. This happened over a decade ago. He grew up and is no longer unpleasant. Story 31. I was banned from Reddit for 3 days for a comment I made on the subreddit Watch It for the Plot. This subreddit is dedicated to sharing clips of celebrity women in films and TV shows. Someone posted a GIF of Krista Allen, known as the woman in the elevator with Jim Carrey in the film Liar Liar. In the bloopers, Jim Carrey says to her, "If I were a boxer, I would bounce those things like Sugar Ray Leonard." Quoting the movie, I made the same comment. I was banned for making a comment that could be perceived as sexual harassment. Story 32. Not a ban or suspension, but I had an official reprimand on my record because I could not urinate with someone watching me for a urinalysis test while I was a midshipman at the Naval Academy. I told a friend about it, and he laughed hysterically because I did not even drink, let alone use drugs, and he smoked marijuana the night before our induction. Story 33. I had just opened the Reddit application, and the first post I saw was someone looking for a song that I thought I recognized. So I decided to make a guess. It had 0 comments, and when I clicked the post, it even said, "Be the first to comment." So I made my guess and linked to a YouTube video for their convenience. The next thing I knew, I was getting a 24-hour ban from the subreddit for making a duplicate guess, which is against the rules of the community. I clicked on the post and, sure enough, someone else had made the same guess about half an hour before me. I messaged the moderators, apologizing for the duplicate post and explaining that I thought the comment section glitched because when I made my comment, there were no other comments. Their response was simply, "You broke our rule," followed by a permanent ban. How was I to know that the comments were not loading? Everyone knows comment sections lag and fail all the time. It was the first post I saw, and I did not realize until several posts later that the entire Reddit platform was lagging. I do not think it is a fair rule when it is widely known how easily this can happen. Oh well. Story 34. It is really hard not to get banned on Reddit. If you have a slight disagreement with a moderator, they might just ban you. Also, I got banned on Twitch despite never using it and still do not know why. Story 35. I got banned from a golf course for cursing after an older gentleman complained to the professional shop. I dropped a few curse words after putts did not go in on the front nine. When I returned the cart, they called me into the professional shop and banned me. They took my name and everything. I feel like cursing is part of golf. Laugh out loud. Story 36. I got banned from playing a soccer game with no rules in middle school because I kicked the ball and my shoe flew onto the roof. The teacher had to get a ladder. It was embarrassing. They did not want it to happen again, I guess. Story 37. I was banned from a football team subreddit for asking why we had to play for a finals position again when we were already in the finals. I am not well versed in football, and this was 2 years ago, so I cannot remember the exact words. However, I was banned, my appeal was denied, and they said I knew what I did. The plot twist is that I am still confused and still banned. Story 38. My Instagram account was hacked and banned for engaging in a relationship involving money and fraud. I am still unable to access Instagram on my phone. I lost a large number of contacts. Story 39. In the Fry-Up subreddit on Reddit, which is a joking community, I made a joke and received a permanent ban. I am still laughing about it to this day. The moderators were overexcited and drunk on power. I can only imagine. Story 40. This was not on Reddit, but I once got suspended somewhere for posting a link to a meme. Apparently, someone else later included a swear word when they shared that meme on their own page. To clarify, I linked a meme. Someone else saw the meme at the source and shared it on their social media page. That person used a swear word on their social media page. For some reason, this meant that I violated a rule. If you are still confused, we are in the same situation. On website 1, I share a link to a meme on website 2. Another person, who is not me, shares that same meme to website 3. I get in trouble on website 1 for someone else's word choice on website 3. When I asked for clarification on what rule I had broken, they did not tell me at first. They extended my suspension. Only later did I learn that elsewhere on the internet, someone else used a swear word, and somehow this was my fault. Glorious. Story 41. I was banned from a TikTok thread because I said the name Loverly was terrible and not the beautiful original name the original poster thought it was. I was feeling snarky. It was mean. Story 42. I created an email in a male name, I am female, that I use mostly for signing up for things that require setting up an account to access the 7-day free trial of some software. This means I am not giving out my regular email, personal details, or password patterns I commonly use. It seems safer to have an online presence as a man in certain situations. I signed up for X using it without much thought and got banned because it is a fake name. I do not understand why it offended them. The name is correct. I would love to know how they know. Story 43. I am banned from the subreddit r/oil painting because someone posted a still life of an egg on a stand they created. Being a fan of the television show Always Sunny, I commented egg with a hyperlink to a video of Frank holding up an egg to the camera and saying, egg. I was permanently banned within minutes, and my appeal, may I offer the moderators of this subreddit an egg in these trying times, was ignored. Story 44. In 8th grade, I was suspended from school. On the third attempted extortion of pocket money by kids in my class, the first 2 were successful. I hit the leader in the face with a sock containing 4 rolls, 80 quarters in total. I broke his jaw. I was grounded for a week. No police involvement in 1975. I was never hassled again. Story 45. On a Facebook group long ago, one of those groups set to private, I pointed out to a few people who were tagging their friends in the comments of funny posts that it would not notify them because it was not a public group. Moderators had a massive go at me asking what I was up to, so I explained. Then suddenly the group did not exist anymore for me. Story 46. Suspended for bullies beating me relentlessly. All they got when we were in the dean's office was a stern look and were sent back to class. That is probably the dumbest. Story 47. I called a moderator in a video game subreddit sassy, and I was banned for a few hours for personal attacks until they realized how unreasonable that was. Story 48. I was permanently banned from a certain subreddit because I told someone to consider whether she wanted to throw everything away or try to fix things first instead of following groupthink and discarding it all like last Sunday's leftovers. I was temporarily banned from another subreddit for comparing the Israeli treatment of the Palestinians to the Nazi treatment of the Jews in the early war years, before they started placing them in death camps, and stating that their slogan of never again is hypocritical. Story 49. I hired Chris Hansen to make a video shaming people for thinking the movie Cuties was just hyper-realistic art. I shared it in a group chat of 200 people to call out 4 people, not by name. The chat uses nicknames, and Hansen did not name anyone, real or chat nickname. This group chat is attached to a Facebook group for edgy Korean memes for expatriates. The moderators of the chat removed the people who made the video for trying to take down the group from within. It is insane. Story 50. I am banned from eBay for disputing a chargeback from a customer who claimed they did not receive their goods, even though they were selling those goods on their seller page. Story 51. Yesterday, a post was made on AskReddit about how a student at your school died. I shared a harrowing story of surviving a school shooting, and Reddit banned me for threatening violence. I appealed and just got my account back this morning. Story 52. Riot Games really cracked down on the trash talk in League of Legends at some point in the last 5 years. I returned to the game because a couple of my friends did recently, and I received a chat ban for telling a Thresh player to back off, Bone Boy. Thresh is a skeleton. Story 53. Permanently banned on Reddit tattoo designs for saying a tattoo looked tonal without a lot of contrast. Great job, Reddit tattoo designs moderators. You got me good for critiquing a tattoo design. Story 54. A dishonest travel agent booked me on a stopover in Japan without a visa on the basis that I was military personnel. I am not in the military, just a civilian contractor. Airport security stopped the airport bus as it was leaving and removed me. I am banned from re-entering Japan. Story 55. I wrote that Lullicon and age play involving people pretending to be babies and engaging in sexual activities while wearing diapers is pedophilia. I received about 300 downvotes and got death threats for expressing disapproval of this kink. I was permanently banned from the relationships community. The original post was discussing diaper play. I lost all faith in humanity that day and still think about it at least once a week. This was about 5 years ago. Story 56. I got kicked out of a home economics class in 7th grade because I wouldn't eat an apple pie. The person I was partnered with to make it picked her nose a lot and never washed her hands, so I helped cook it for the grade but refused to eat it. I lied and told the teacher I didn't like apples. She told me to try it anyway. I didn't get loud or anything, but I was firm that I was not going to eat the pie. After going back and forth in front of everyone, she sent me to the office. She was near tears, so in retrospect she probably had other things going on. I got detention, was kicked out of that class, and put in a different section. I have been suspended from school too, but that was definitely the weirdest phone call my parents got. Story 57. I got banned from Xbox Live. I was an approved Xbox Live ambassador, which means I was an influencer of the brand. It was exactly what I wanted because I have been a fan of Xbox since 2001. One day, on the ambassador forums, the administrators posted about equality. I shared my honest opinion, saying the post was just virtue signaling. They did not like that. All my hard work was gone. All my brand supportive influencing was irrelevant and cancelled. Not even one rebuttal, reasoning, or counterstatement was provided to me. Xbox is now a dead brand to me, and I have a difficult time powering up my original Xbox. Story 58. The thing you have to remember is that the people who moderate Reddit are the people who want to spend their time moderating Reddit. They are not well-adjusted, even-handed, healthy people. It is the eternal internet forum paradox. It always has been. Story 59. Suspended from Reddit for making a factually true statement. No slurs, threats, or offensive language were used. Just a statement of facts because there is a significant percentage of Reddit users who cling to a bizarre delusion. Story 60. I was suspended from high school for not attending. I received 3 days of suspension as a student whose mother passed away and who just wanted to stay home. Story 61. I was banned from Reddit for 3 days recently for responding to a post with a movie quote in quotation marks. It was flagged by an automated system. I contested it, and on the last day of my ban, a human reviewed it and lifted the ban. Story 62. In the year 2009, I was banned from a Star Wars forum for not using spoiler tags. I believed that the content did not require spoiler tags for several reasons, primarily because it had been heavily used as a central advertising point for the entire prequel trilogy. The content I was banned for not tagging was that Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker are the same person. Story 63. Banned from AskScience. I believe it was for using artificial intelligence because I indirectly referenced using Google to do some unit conversions. The moderator I contested it with said, "Well, okay, you didn't break a rule, but I don't like your writing style, so you will remain banned." This was not the first, but one of many experiences in my life that have made me broadly opposed to the idea of any person ever having any authority of any kind, including myself. Story 64. A few years ago, several people were banned from the Facepalm subreddit and the Cringetopia subreddit for interacting with the other subreddit. One person who was banned from Cringetopia posted on Facepalm about it, and I made a comment asking why Reddit moderators were allowing this to happen. Immediately, I was banned from Facepalm. I have not interacted with either subreddit since. Strange times. Story 65. I was suspended on a book subreddit for mentioning that I read VC Andrew's books because apparently that is promoting incest and child abuse. Story 66. I misgendered a fictional transgender character. No warning or anything, just an instant ban. Come on, it is a fictional character. They are not going to feel anything. Story 67. I commented on a post about a full English breakfast. I had never seen anyone eat one of those in person, even on a visit to England. The moderator deleted all of my comments and blocked me from commenting, saying my story did not add up. I do not understand how it is so difficult for them to understand that I am American. I went to a hotel that catered to tourists. I went with a group of Americans, as you do. Our breakfast was served buffet style in chafing dishes, where you take what you want. We were all Americans, picking little bits of things from a buffet, not loading up our plates with everything that comes with a full English breakfast. As a tourist, I was not in English homes watching English people eat full English breakfasts with beans and tomatoes and all that. The moderator said I was a liar. The moderator is not very bright. It was the first thing that came to mind because it was just so incredibly stupid. Story 68. I have been banned from certain communities because I participated in a different community they did not like. They literally stalk through the comments and posts and ban all the users commenting and participating. This is strange behavior. Story 69. I was suspended for a month after someone shared a post about a man saying, "Women's periods are disgusting and just remind me that they are animals." I said, "Funny, men don't care about women being animals when they do it doggy style." I was suspended for a month for hate speech. Story 70. I was banned from a mall because my friend placed a chair on its side. He did not tip it over, let it fall, or throw it. He gently laid it on its side. A security guard then told us we were banned and that if we did not leave, he would involve the police. We simply returned a few days later. The security guard did not recognize us. And if he did not say anything. He must have been having a dull night. Story 71. I got banned from a Facebook group about noise in the city, such as cars with fold-out 8-foot-high speakers you can hear 3 miles away that keep your girlfriend awake at night while she is recovering from chemotherapy. The group administrators started allowing posts about unrelated topics, like opposition to bicycle lanes and rants against socialist politicians. Any discussion about why this was inappropriate and could drive people away was shut down, with comments locked and deleted. On a hunch, I posted the exact same message as the group owner but with the positions reversed, linking to a pro-bicycle lane petition. I was banned within hours. Story 72. I received a 3-day ban for telling an immigration and customs enforcement supporter to eat excrement and die. I guess that is considered a threat. I thought of it more as a suggestion, but whatever. Story 73. I was banned from a conservative subreddit for commenting about how unwise they were being. Fair enough. I was also automatically banned from a number of subreddits for posting in that conservative subreddit, regardless of context. I attempted to appeal each ban and was completely ignored by the moderators of all of them. I checked who the moderators were, and there was a lot of overlap across the subreddits. Story 74. Here on Reddit in the travel forum, a man called himself overweight and complained about airplane seats. He asked how to fix the issue of not fitting in the seats. I responded, "Do not be overweight." I was banned. Story 75. Excessive callouts. But the reason for the callouts is what made it frustrating. My job had agreed to one set day off each week so I could get ongoing medical treatments I needed at the time. However, they did not keep their end of the bargain. So I could not get my treatments, which meant I was getting sick and having flare-ups. This resulted in me calling out. I kept telling them that if they just gave me the day off they agreed to in writing, we would not be having this issue. They always had some excuse, and when they suspended me, they had the gall to say, "You should take better care of yourself." I do not miss that place. That was Publix, if it makes any difference. Story 76. Years ago, before we had our raised by narcissist subreddits, I belonged to a forum. The rules of this forum were very long and grew longer every day. I should have known something was wrong because every day there were many apology posts for no reason. One day, another user attacked me. I chuckled, let it roll off my shoulders, and did not acknowledge it. The next day, I received a message from the administrator accounts. "Why do you think this user attacked you so harshly?" This is when I knew this user was one of the power-tripping moderators, and they were going to get rid of me if I did not sob and apologize. The next day, "You must reply within 48 hours or you will be banned." I played the game. I do not know why. Boom, banned. Danu is still a piece of trash as far as I know. Story 77. I got permanently banned on the piracy subreddit for discussing piracy related to a public radio show and asking if anyone knew where to get episodes. Technically, this is not piracy since it is public and anyone can record it. It is not a podcast but an AM radio show that airs at night. Story 78. I got banned from the subreddit called r/pics because I defended electric cars on a conservative subreddit. The reason was that members of that subreddit brigade other subreddits. I was told that if I did not delete the comment and promise never to comment there again, I would be banned. But since I did not read my messages right away and commented on another r/pics post, the bot banned me and the moderators ignored my message. To be fair, I said I would not delete my comment or promise to never post there again because what is the point of preaching to the converted? Even Jesus preached to the sinners. Story 79. I am completely banned from the subreddit Mildly Interesting for posting something moderately interesting. It is not a nice place. Story 80. Some woman on a female-centric subreddit was complaining that her husband honked her breast. I found this a little silly, so I replied, "Honk. Instant permanent ban." Story 81. Facebook 30-day suspension for saying some Christians can be vile. Not sure what triggered the alarm, but it was my first offense ever and I thought the punishment was a bit harsh. Story 82. I was permanently banned from the France subreddit just for saying that I hoped the culprit would be arrested. For context, it was a video of a Korean girl who had been assaulted in the street. When I asked the moderator which rule I had broken, they muted me from contacting them for a month. Story 83. Banned from a Discord server for calling someone soup, which is in their username. I thought they were joking when they said it was not their name and asked me not to call them that. I even apologized and still got banned. Story 84. Instagram. A woman lost 300 pounds, and I posted good for her. She has come a long way. I got banned for a week for sexual talk. Story 85. In school, I was suspended for having hair that was too red. It was around 2009, and I was obsessed with Hayley Williams. My mom is a hairstylist and dyed my hair to look like hers at the time. I ended up having to dye it brownish red. Story 86. Banned for life from working for a certain general contractor company for writing "Forget You." I'll call the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. On a paper notice, they posted barring us from using a restroom. They allocated us one restroom in the basement of a 40-story building when there were more than 200 people on site. I am banned from a local shooting range for confronting a range officer who was harassing us. We were doing nothing unsafe and had broken no rules. I finally got fed up, loaded a 75-round drum magazine and fired. Gave them the finger. Someone pointing a loaded 12-gauge shotgun at my friend's head was acceptable, but my presence at the range was not. Banned from working with another general contractor. They tried to frame me for something their plumber had done and sue the company I was working for. The general contractor tried to run me off the job without my tools. We got physical. I would have been banned from the House of Blues for kicking one of their guards in the face. I was 16, and the Dropkick Murphys were inviting people on stage. Albar actually motioned to me and was very enthusiastic. I tried to get up there and was hit in the face by a guard and shoved back. The next year, I saw them again and the same guard tried to stop me. This time, he was kicked in the mouth by my size 12 steel-toe boot. After I got off the stage, I quickly slipped into the crowd and left the venue. There are more incidents, but this has already turned into a long story. Story 87. I joined a subreddit called Enough Elon Spam and posted a comment about Elon being thin-skinned. Next, I received a ban notice from several Tesla subreddits that I was not a member of. That somewhat validated my comment, I guess. Story 88. I printed some nude photographs of Pamela Anderson that I found online. I started selling them at school for $2 each. I had 5 different photographs to choose from. A girl reported me, and I received a 3-day suspension. I was in 6th grade at the time. Story 89. When I was in the 10th grade, I got 4 days of in-school suspension for bringing a laser pointer to lunch. The teacher said I could hurt someone by pointing it at their eyes. I knew this, so I wasn't doing it. The reason I had it was because I thought it would be funny to point it at a wall. The kid would notice it, tell their friends, and they would all turn to see it. I would quickly turn it off so there would be no proof. When I turned it off, I would hide it in my jacket so no one would know it was me with the laser pointer. The teacher saw me hide it in my jacket and asked what I was hiding. "What do you have?" "Nothing." "Well, you have something bad. Otherwise, you wouldn't be hiding it." "No, it's just a laser pointer." "Hand it over." "No." "Hand it over or you are getting in-school suspension." I got in-school suspension anyway. I handed the laser pointer to the teacher. "Okay, I'm confiscating this. You are getting a call home and you will have to go to the principal's office." I'm still mad about it to this day. Story 90. I got banned from many news subreddits for being pro-Palestine whenever news about Israel was posted. Specifically, World News is quite aggressive about banning pro-Palestine voices. Other than that, I received a ban on Reddit one time because I told a story about being the victim of a hate crime and said, "I wish they knew how it felt." I meant it as a wish for others to have empathy, but Reddit interpreted my words as a call for my attacker to be attacked. I appealed the ban, but it stood, which disgusted me deeply. That incident really bothered me. Reddit sided with a violent bigot that day. Story 91. During my apprenticeship, I was sent home. Someone kicked a plastic bottle in my general direction, and I kicked it back. This happened outside during break. No football was allowed. Story 92. I received a permanent ban on a game for using unauthorized third-party software, even though I was not cheating. Unsurprisingly, they will not disclose the executable that triggered the ban, so I still have no clear understanding of the reason. My main suspicion is either JDownloader or offending a vindictive staff member. This was a player versus player game, and I suspect this because my other accounts, which I used on the same day and same machine, were not banned. It is quite sad because I loved that game, but it is no longer active. Story 93. I got suspended from school for selling fireworks. Before you say anything, I also think that is a reasonable reason to suspend someone. However, the way I got caught was that 2 of my friends, who I sold Roman candles to at school, decided it would be fun to shoot them at each other. One of them ended up in the hospital with minor burns. Then they both told their parents about me. Also, a while before this happened, I was kicked out of science class for causing a disturbance after someone squirted diluted hydrochloric acid into my eyes, and I started screaming. Story 94. My original Facebook account was permanently banned because a group I helped administer was taken down. I did have some strikes on the account, but I did absolutely nothing wrong on the day they banned me. Story 95. I was shadow banned by one of the moderators or administrators because I questioned Pat Rothfuss in 2019 or 2020 on an old account. I made it clear that something was wrong. The next day, I stopped receiving upvotes, answers, or any engagement. The people at the King Killer Chronicle subreddit do not like being told that Pat may be dishonest. Story 96. I was banned from the Small Dick Problem subreddit for posting about how I feel sorry for people who are rude to men with small penises and why they have no reason to be. I soon found out that the entire subreddit is full of negative people. I don't mind involuntary celibates, just not when they complain all day. We understand that it's tough, but sooner or later you have to accept it. Story 97. Not getting COVID-19 vaccine 2 weeks after I just recovered from severe COVID-19 infection over 4 weeks in January 2021 was removed from medical staff after 18 years for something a first-year medical student knows. Immunity from recent illness does not require vaccination for a disease you just had. In fact, it can only be detrimental and contraindicated in every other disease. Yet, they literally wanted to inject me again with the very antigen that I had already had and had created more antibodies to prevent recurrence in the short term than those yet to contract COVID-19. It is a downright disgrace. I am not political. I am a doctor and would have gotten it if I had yet to contract COVID-19. But the mandates to get vaccinated shortly after infection is truly asinine. Story 98. I once got blocked by a tanky Twitter user for stating Stalin was a genocidal dictator. Reddit temporarily suspended me for citing the offending rates of some ethnic groups, attacking vulnerable groups based on identity. Some news subreddits also banned me for comments about Islamic fundamentalism because it went against their agenda. The moderators of r/Israel Exposed permanently banned me for reporting anti-Semitic and pro-Hamas comments to them. It is a cesspool filled with racism, lies, and half-truths. r/Rimworld removed me from its Discord group for replying to the insults and harassment of the moderator's friends who got away with it. Story 99. I followed an extremist feminist subreddit to understand and learn, but I got banned for following the Nice Guys subreddit too. Story 100. I have a lot of followers on my TikTok account, and you need 1,000 to go viral. I love going viral, so I used to always go viral with my little cousin. However, he wanted to go viral alone. I trusted him, so I gave him my password and everything. But he got suspended for being underage, and then I couldn't get paid for my next video that blew up since I am underage. Story 101. Not me, but my cousin was sent home from boarding school for a while because he and his friends switched 2 girls' toothbrushes and duvets in a Secret Santa game. Story 102. When I was in high school, I told a teacher she got a question wrong because she added 6 instead of multiplying by 6. I got a literal week off because of that. Another time I got suspended was when I told a teacher to leave because she wouldn't stop talking about how much she loved her ex-husband. That was 2 days because my principal had a sense of humor. Multiple times I got suspended for correcting teachers' grammar because they were poor at English. Story 103. On January 13, 2022, I was banned from Discord for posting content that sexualized individuals under the age of 18, and twice for malicious hacking, credit card, or account cracking. I was a paying Nitro subscriber for the first ban. The other 2 bans were confusing. Individuals involved in such activities have poor operational security, so a hacker targeting them is quite rare. I feel like I am shouting into the void. The social consequences were severe. Story 104. Quoted Auntie Jack's early 1970s Australian television show closing dialogue on an Australian nostalgia subreddit. Story 105. I was banned from a computer forum for stating that a right-wing conspiracy theory was a right-wing conspiracy theory. They did not ban the person spreading the conspiracy theories. I received only a 3-day ban but have not returned, and that was about 3 years ago. If there is a rule against discussing politics, it needs to be enforced fairly. Please do not ban political discussions, as everything is political and therefore always biased. Story 106. I got kicked out of a hockey game for having a normal, civil conversation with a friend. We were both underage, so neither of us was drunk or acting foolish. The man and his wife behind us claimed they could not hear the game over our talking and then told security we were being belligerent and swearing. After some testimony from other people nearby and pleading with security, they let us back in and asked us to sit somewhere else. Story 107. Casual conversations permanently banned me for asking, "What is your Roman Empire?" They said it broke the rule of no surveys. I messaged the moderators twice. No response and no repeal of the ban. Story 108. Currently banned from the World News subreddit because I compared Israel's denial of food assistance to actions Hamas might take to stir chaos. Still waiting for the ban appeal. Story 109. If you criticize China on certain subreddits, especially many of the socialist ones, they will ban you immediately. Story 110. I was banned from a chat that requires real names because my real name contains a prohibited sequence of letters. Story 111. I was banned from Reset Era for sexism because I called Queen Elizabeth an offensive term. After complaints from other British and Australian members stating the term was not sexist, the ban was reversed. Later, Reset Era banned the use of that word entirely, declaring it sexist. Story 112. I was not the one who got banned, but in high school science class, I remember a girl sprayed a little bit of tap water from a dropper at her friend. She was banned from doing experiments for the rest of the year because the teacher acted like water was suddenly unsafe and dangerous. Story 113. Got my direct messages suspended. Contacted support. Received a generic reply. Contacted one of the administrators in comments. The administrator said I was soliciting. I said no and asked for proof. He stopped responding. I contacted their support desk repeatedly to lift the suspension. Got banned. Contacted support desk again to request unbanning. Banned from support desk. I blame the user Martin Mage for this situation. Of course, he will say it was justified, that I should not spam, and that I should not send explicit images via Imager direct messages, but unless they unban me, that sounds like victim blaming. I miss it. Mostly. Story 114. Suspended for a month on full pay at a supermarket because I was 16 and they did not have the correct paperwork for my age. Their mistake, as they could not legally allow me to continue working without the paperwork. Free money for a month at 16 was great. Story 115. From a church retreat. For inappropriate behavior, I had to come up with the word appropriate since the leader could not. When I asked for examples, he said, "You were talking to yourself and everybody does it at times, but you sounded like you were talking to another person." No mention of disrupting activities, neglecting duties, or actual inappropriate behavior. When I told him what was going on in my life, he was very dismissive and trivialized my concerns instead of being helpful. The person left that job and church not long afterward. When he left, I assumed he was leaving to avoid dealing with spoiled brats like me anymore. A friend heard that he was moving away to go back to school, which was more plausible and credible. The truth is more complex and complicated, but I am not a gossip, so I will not share it here. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.